in to the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Tyler McComas and Parker Thune.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino calling line at 405-329-9000. Text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Tyler McComas and Parker Thune.
Still not over it. May not be over that one in a long time. That was, that was a gut punch on Saturday night. Unfortunately, Parker Thune, we've been dealt with some tough losses over the past few years. A couple in the Cotton Bowl, a couple elsewhere, but I can't remember the last time that a loss at the end of the game, like in that fashion, has felt like that, like a gut punch like that felt. Did not see that coming. Boy, man, that's to me the worst loss of the season. We talked about what was on the line all last week, and now we kind of have to face the realities of what those look like after moving to 5-5 now. But I don't know if you thought about this over the weekend or not. I just can't remember the last time a game has ended that way and just what a gut punch it was walking out of the stadium.
I'll tell you, Tyler, I think in many ways that is the most crushing loss of the Brent Venables era. I don't know, worst is too broad a term because, you can interpret that a number of different ways. That was easily the most crushing loss of the Brent Venables era because, for one thing, it's Mizzou, right? That's a game that you wanted to win for so many reasons, not the least of which is because they stole your left guard and their head coach is generally pretty insufferable, right? And is a guy that a lot of Oklahoma fans have a strong distaste for. That was a game that there was some extra motivation to go and win. But and to lose it, and not only that, to lose it in the fashion that Oklahoma did, where the game is handed to you, and then you hand it right back. That, to me, Tyler, there were probably many folks that walked out of the stadium or turned off their TVs on Saturday night with a drastically shifted perspective on Brent Venables in this era of Oklahoma football. I think there were probably many folks that were turned from believers to skeptics on Saturday night.
Yeah, we did a 2-hour postgame show on Saturday night, and I heard a lot of that. And one thing that I hadn't heard until last night, and I want to give a shout-out to David Walker, former Sooner, D-Walk. He's an awesome guy. He texted me this yesterday, and I hadn't heard anyone said it, but it's not a fun thing to read again because it hurts to read. But look at it this way, Parker. He said the following things happened for us yesterday. Executed a fake punt for over 40 yards, hit a 56-yard field goal, scored on a trick play, opponent missed an extra points, and then OU got a scoop and score. They still found a way to lose that game. If 2 or 3 of those things happen, that should be a win. To squander all 5 is criminal. A fake punt, you hit the longest field goal you've hit in a long time. You scored on a trick play. They missed an extra point. You got a defensive score. If I present those 5 things to you on Friday, heck, if I present 3 of those 5 things to you on Friday, we're extremely confident that OU's going to win the game. Yet they hit on all 5 of those, and they still find a way to lose. It was just it was an absolute gut punch. It was really, and it still is today, really hard to find words just to describe how crushing of a loss that is. Now, they've got a couple of opportunities here moving forward to make it right and get to 6 wins, but just based on what I've seen the first 10 games, it's hard for me to imagine that this team all of a sudden figures it out and puts something out offensively that's good enough to beat Alabama and LSU. I think we all know what Saturday was.
Yep.
Saturday was their opportunity to get to 6 wins, and it felt like they squandered that away.
Man. And to think they were -2, they had a chance to go and win that football game -2 in the turnover margin, too.
Yep.
After that Billy Bowman scoop and score with 2 minutes to play. And to think that Drew Pine had mustered basically nothing against this Oklahoma defense all day. 2 short fields led to Missouri's 2 touchdown drives, up until that point. All 3 of their scoring drives, period, had come on very, very short fields. and then he goes 75 yards down the field in clinical fashion on the one that Mizzou had to have offensively and the one that OU had to have defensively. And then, of course, your quarterback fumbles the game away on the ensuing possession. Man, Cherokee Sooner, I love this text because you really have to maintain a sense of humor about all of this. That's the only way you're going to stay sane. He said, idea, let's come up with the craziest, most ridiculous ways to lose a game and then bet on which one OU goes with next Saturday.
Well, I don't know what the payout would have been for the way that you lost on Saturday, but I did not see that one coming. I thought at the very minimum we're at least going to overtime. Maybe they can get something to happen and Schmidt can make one from 55 yards or something crazy like that, but just for the way that to end and just, man, you talk about a dejected side of the OU fan base walking out of that stadium. That was sad, man. Gut punch. Don't know how many times I can say it. Just absolutely crushing. The way that they lost that game on Saturday, and what do you do here moving forward? Like, who's the quarterback for the rest of the season? How do you pick yourself up off the mat after that? I mean, there's even more questions now here as we move forward. But to look at it from, because of course this is more of a recruiting hour, to look at it from that kind of lens, what's the recruiting fall? Because this was a tough loss, man. What's the recruiting fallout, if any? Are we any more concerned about the 2025 class coming out of that game?
Yeah, there's concern, Tyler. There's absolutely concern. Anybody who is not concerned, I mean, that's that's copium, because when things get this bad, and things are officially bad at Oklahoma as of Saturday evening, Tyler, things are bad.
Yeah.
That is the word, bad. When things get this bad, you can never take anything for granted with regard to your recruiting class. And there's nobody that has presented ostensible evidence that they're waffling, but make no mistake, Tyler, those calls are going to keep happening behind the scenes. Other programs are going to do their best to capitalize on Oklahoma's futility. And I'll be completely honest, I'm not going to issue predictions on who this might be, but I don't think Oklahoma makes it to signing day right now without a flip or two, because that's kind of one of those things that you just expect to happen if things sink to a certain low, and they have for OU.
Yeah, they have, and that's just, man, what a tough loss on Saturday, man. Golly, just so dejected after that, and then the fact that Theo Weiss had the game that he did, and he's talking smack to the OU fans over there in the corner of the stadium, and then what that idiot Eli Drinkwitz said after the game, which if you win, I guess do your thing, right? If you win, go ahead and prop up your team, but to call out or to mention Bob Stoops like he did, thought was pretty classless. But he is a pretty classless individual, so I guess it shouldn't be all that shocking the way that Drinkwitz handled himself after that game. All right, text line is going crazy, 405-651-3439. D in Choctaw says, it's time to clean house and start over. It's been time to clean house and start over for weeks. Are we at that point? I think that we all know at least some changes are happening at the end of the year. But if D in Choctaw is saying cleaning house, then that means just about everyone, if not everyone there. I mean, are we to that point, or do we need to see the last two games first?
Look, there's no reason not to see the last two games first. It doesn't matter who's coaching. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. It doesn't matter who's calling the plays, Tyler. The harsh reality is that Oklahoma is not beating Alabama or LSU unless one of those teams hands you the game, and you actually have to take it this time as opposed to handing it back like they did Saturday in Columbia. But it doesn't much matter at this point who the coach is, who the quarterback is, who the play caller is. Oklahoma is significantly outmatched against both Alabama and LSU. Yep. So there's no reason not to just see this thing through to the end of the regular season and then make whatever decision needs to be made at that point. And I think it will be clear at that point, Tyler. It's not totally clear right now. Like, people have feelings. People have strong feelings. But I think it will be very obvious after these next two football games, based on how the Sooners come out and how they perform and how they execute and how they fight, it will be very clear come the end of the LSU game which direction Oklahoma needs to go in 2025.
Sure, I think that just some questions that I still have from Saturday, and it's not the issue offensively, it's just one of the issues in my opinion. Maybe you can explain something to me. This first one I've been asking for weeks. Why do they feature Bauer Sharp in some of the situations that they put him in terms of throwing it behind the line of scrimmage and some of the things laterally that they do? I guess I just don't understand why they use Bauer Sharp in some of the ways that they do. It's really maddening. I don't know why after 9 games this year you couldn't tell by now that wasn't going to have a high success rate. And then I understand that Burks fumbled, but you get those 2 guys back, and you think that those are maybe your 2 best playmakers coming back. Why did they not feature Farouk and Burks more, especially early on in the game? Why does Jacob Jordan only get 1 snap when he's been so good the past few games? There's just a lot of personnel questions, call it play calling questions, that I come out of Saturday shaking my head. Like, why are we featuring this guy as opposed to a couple of guys who are back, or a guy in Jacob Jordan that feels like he's done just about everything right up to this point? I don't understand.
And that's, I think, what is maybe most frustrating to me, Tyler, as I look at the way that Oklahoma has played football throughout the season, is there seems to be an insistence to try and make certain things work that just aren't working and haven't worked. You mentioned one of them, which is getting the ball to Bauer Sharp within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. Why? Why do that? Another thing would be putting Spencer Brown at right tackle and watching him attempt to pass protect. Why? At what point do you just say, okay, this is a failed experiment, let's try something different? It's astonishing to me that the one thing that looked good, the one thing that looked objectively good for Oklahoma on Saturday was Xavier Robinson at running back.
Didn't he? Yes,
he looked exceptional. He single-handedly kick-started and sustained that game-tying scoring drive for Oklahoma. Oklahoma had nothing going offensively all game. Xavier Robinson was the only guy that helped that offense get into any semblance of rhythm, and he did it all by himself. And to me, I get that Javonte Barnes has been a stud, and that's very clearly your RB1, but what took so long for a guy like Xavier Robinson to get a shot like that?
Yeah, and now it might be fair to say, well, that is a true freshman. Maybe he's significantly better now than he was back in September. But here's the optics of it. You put a true freshman in who had looked pretty good in other situations that he was given throughout the year, and he was the best running back on the field for you Saturday. So where has he been? Why are you not giving a true freshman even more snaps and even more run when you're kind of playing for the future at this point, for sure? And I know Brent said last week that they're going to redshirt Xavier Robinson at EPL. I don't think that you can still approach the final 2 games with that mindset. I mean, really, can you rob this offense and rob the fans at this point the ability to not see Xavier Robinson? You have to play him more after Saturday. You have to.
Yeah, and unfortunately that's going to come at the expense of his red shirt because he played 2 snaps against Texas, 2 snaps against Ole Miss for whatever reason. And so, yeah, if you want to roll Xavier Robinson out against Alabama and or LSU, it's going to cost him a year of eligibility. Fun times. Really fun times. Chris from Knoxville says, if Spencer Brown starts or touches the field again this season, I might drink an entire bottle of Everclear or maybe bleach.
Whoa. Everclear and bleach, huh? All right, Chris, let us know how it goes. I got a good feeling how that's probably going to go, but let us know if that's the same case. Prime time a week from Saturday when OU faces Bama at 6:30 on ABC. 501 State of Arkansas. I hate the turnovers, but with injuries and young players working, make mistakes. I can tolerate. Biggest problem is not getting touchdown in the red zone. Drive on fake punt to 10 with 3 downs, settle for a field goal. Another drive on the 20 with 3 downs and get a field goal, not winning. Yeah, I mean, and this is kind of speaks to that, how undisciplined of a team that they are. You know, they get the fake punt, and I don't know if it was a crap call or not. They don't show a whole lot of replays in that stadium. But, you get the big play off the fake punt, and then what happens immediately after a penalty? You know, I mean, just the way that this team continues to shoot itself in the foot is extremely maddening, Parker. I mean, they're already limited as it is offensively, but they do themselves no favors, and it's extremely frustrating.
This is a hilarious factoid from Doug and Norman. absent the fake punt yardage, Bauer Sharp had 4 receptions for 0 yards.
Yep.
Tyler. 0 yards.
Well, didn't Elzinga and Jackson Arnold have the same amount of passing yards at halftime?
Yes, they did. And Tyler, I asked this question to Steely, I asked this question to Jesse, I'll ask this question to you. What do you do with Jackson Arnold at this point? Where do you go from here with him and with your quarterback room in general?
I don't know if you. I'm to a point. I don't think that you can throw him out there against Alabama. Not that I think the other two guys. If you start those two, then my thoughts necessarily change all that much about the Alabama game coming up a week from Saturday. But I mean, the guy was just not only has he turned it over, they've been incredibly costly turnovers this year, and that's why I kind of threw it out there a few minutes ago. Like, who's the starting quarterback for the Alabama game? Like, who's the best guess at this point who that's going to be? Because I don't think it could be Jackson Arnold with the crippling turnovers that he's had.
No, it can't. I said it in the 12 o'clock hour. I'll repeat it here. I think you owe it to Casey Thompson to at least give him a shot because that is the only avenue that remains unexplored, and all of the other avenues seem less than appealing at this point. And I still think Michael Hawkins is going to be really good. People have to remember he's a true freshman. I remember when there was a true freshman in 2015 at Texas A&M by the name of Kyler Murray that struggled, and everybody was wondering, this is the 5-star, this is the best player in the history of Texas high school football, and obviously 3 years later he's winning a Heisman Trophy at Oklahoma, so that all turned for the better, and I think it will for Michael Hawkins. But you've had Casey Thompson on the roster all season. He's here because he wants to be here. He's not on scholarship. He walked on. He's got 3 years of starting experience. Certainly you can make the argument that maybe this is not an ideal position to put a guy in coming off of ACL surgery behind a patchwork offensive line. But my point is, Tyler, it feels like you've tried everything else. Why not try that at this point?
Sure. 405-651-3439. Big day on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. We'll get to that. I'm at Caven's group today. And I see all the text. I hear all the text. Our football program is a disaster. Someone call Caven's group. I see what you guys are texting, and I'm sure that's the marketing that Gary and Jessica are just looking for. But they got it. You guys think of a disaster. You're thinking of Caven's group, which is pretty good. We'll tell you all about Caven's as the show goes on today. And, of course, get into the disaster that was Saturday and what's to happen moving forward. More text, more of your opinions, more OU football next right here on The Ref.
Join the movement. The Ref Army is growing. Don't miss a second of the Sooner coverage you want with the KREF app, the #1 source for Sooner fans.
When the game is on the line, you need a team that you can count on. When injuries occur, you can count on the one team that knows sports medicine. Norman Regional's Ortho Central is your premier team of orthopedic specialists. With 5 highly trained orthopedic surgeons, 3 fellowship-trained sports medicine physicians, and locations in Norman, Newcastle, and Midwest City, we'll work hard to get you back in the game. Ortho Central, #1 in sports medicine and orthopedic care. Call 405-360-6764 and schedule an appointment today.
Skip the leftovers and get your game face on at Riverwind.
We're serving big wins and good times all season long.
Play thousands of your favorite games.
And enjoy the best rewards program in the Metro.
The Showplace Theater at Riverwind is the hottest spot for live music.
Don't miss our Digital Dash giveaway every Friday in November.
Play with your wild card to win your share of over $120,000.
The best food, drinks, and service only at Riverwind.
Greatness doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, focus, and dedication. At Shelter Insurance, we understand that because we put in the hard work and dedication for decades. And that commitment is paid off with award-winning customer service for your auto, home, and life insurance.
For auto, home, life, or business insurance, see Shelter Agent Brian McPherson.
The Sooners aren't the only team in Norman killing it in the transfer portal. Bob Stoops.
You know, in today's world, especially with transfer portals and whatnot, you could change a team in a month.
Dusty Dvorak.
You practice situations with the expectation that when you get into game situations, you go out and execute.
Brian Bosworth.
I went to Oklahoma for the very specific purpose to kick the out of Texas in the Cotton Bowl.
The Ref continues to prove this is the home of Sooner fans.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Do you know of a deserving community member that might be in need? Norman Air is giving back to the community by providing a brand new HVAC system fully installed. If you know someone facing financial challenges and in need of a new HVAC system, they would love to hear from you. Visit normanair.com, click on the HVAC giveaway, and nominate them today. Hurry, the deadline is November 15th. Norman Air wants to help, so nominate a deserving family today for the Norman Air HVAC giveaway.
Nominees must be a homeowner located in the OKC Metro with an existing HVAC system.
Speaking of technology, did you know that RK Black is an authorized dealer for Kyocera copiers? And the Kyocera copiers aren't just copiers. They're smart devices that can scan, print, fax, and email your documents with ease and security. Even better, they're backed by RK Black's award-winning service team that is built on nearly 70 years of taking great care of our clients. Whether you need a desktop printer or a multifunction copier, RK Black has the right product for you. Let's get the conversation started. Give us a call at 943-9800 or visit us at rkblack.com.
Smokey the Bear.
Then you know why Smokey tells you when he sees you passing through. Remember, please be careful, it's the least that you can do.
What you desire, don't play with matches, don't play with fire.
After 80 years of learning his wildfire prevention tips, Smokey Bear lives within us all. Learn more at smokeybear.com. And remember,
only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
I thought mixing bleach with my floor cleaner would take the stain out.
When my youngest ate the dog's medicine, that was a new one.
I was trying to protect my garden, but I accidentally sprayed myself with pesticide.
So I called 1-800-222-1222, the poison helpline.
A poison expert helped me figure out what to do next.
I was connected to someone who spoke Spanish.
They answered my questions.
It was free.
It was confidential.
It was real help in real time.
Keep the poison experts in your pocket. 1-800-222-1222.
Locked in with McComas and Thune, live on the Ref for the home of Sooner fans. Tyler McComas, Parker Thune, and the Ref Army listening worldwide today via the free KREF app. Just search KREF in the App Store. Jasper, Georgia is tuned in today. Madison, Alabama. Queen Creek, Arizona. Danville, California. Sykesville, Maryland. Chesapeake, Virginia. Santa Fe, New Mexico. Charleston, South Carolina. And Tupelo, Oklahoma, all tuned in via the KREF app. And our Ref Army locator is brought to you by Horns Down Fine Spirits. Yeah, go ahead.
Whoa. You said Tupelo, Oklahoma? That's a place?
Tupelo, when I was in high school, was like a high school baseball powerhouse. I mean,
really?
They were Class B at the time. We were Class A. So they had Brennan McCurry was a closer for Oklahoma State at one point, pretty good. His older brother played there. Like I don't know now, but Tupelo could play some baseball.
Where is it located?
It's southeast somewhere. Not sure exactly where it's by, but down the southeast.
Tupelo, Oklahoma. You're right. It is southeast, down southeast of Ada.
Used to be a good athletic program. Have no idea if it is now, but they put a lot of baseball players, small school baseball players, D1. Ref Army Locator brought to you by Horns Down Fine Spirits, which was very, very popular on Saturday. OU fans enjoyed it. Missouri fans enjoyed it. Horns Down Apple Pie. 80 locations throughout the state of Oklahoma. Go check them out. Dink and Addison, the two founders there, are awesome guys, and they did a great job with Horns Down Apple Pie. Did you get any smack thrown your way on Saturday? I got to say, shockingly, I didn't hear much. I didn't hear much at all, at least to my face.
Yeah, I did not hear any smack thrown my way. I was kind of expecting it, but I just put my hood up so Missouri fans couldn't recognize me and just kind of navigated the sidelines throughout the game without any interaction with the crowd.
Smart. Very smart. I expected to be treated a whole lot worse, but was not treated all that bad. Just treated worse at Ole Miss than I was at Missouri. Did not see that one coming. All right, let's get to a lot of text here. Drew from Flower Mound says Burks and Arnold talking on the sideline was funny, Burks was probably like, hey, Arnold, throw the ball. Arnold, best I can do is fumble the ball. So what's he doing, man? Again, they didn't show great replays at all in the stadium, but it looked like to me, sitting in the stands, if the quick read, if the early read's not there, then he's just abandoning the pocket and just trying to make something happen with his feet. He's leaving the pocket way too early, and I understand he knows the offensive line situation that's around him, but there were some plays to be made down the field that I saw, but those guys weren't getting targeted. In fact, I don't remember OU really trying to stretch the field at any point on Saturday.
No, they really didn't, and it was. And I understand why Jackson Arnold's mentality is like that, where if the read's not there right off the bat, got to move, got to bounce outside the pocket, got to scramble, whatever. Like the offensive line isn't great, but even so, man, it just. The entire offense feels like a bunch of chickens running around with their heads cut off. It all feels very disjointed. It doesn't feel like there's any flow. It also doesn't feel like guys are getting schemed open, at least not very well.
Yeah.
And Jackson Arnold is also just like, he's not going quick enough with the quick game stuff. He's not processing fast enough. And when he does make up his mind to get moving faster, then he tends to telegraph the football. It's just, there's nothing right now with this Oklahoma offense that lends any optimism that they're going to be able to score enough points to even hang with Alabama or LSU. Tyler, think about it. The Sooners have not scored more than 2 offensive touchdowns against an SEC opponent this year.
Yep, it's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, and not only that, like the offense, it's not scoring very much. It's turning the ball over a lot, and it's losing the time of possession battle consistently. Now, if you want to be critical about the defense for letting up that drive to tie the game, I mean, that's fine. But at the same time, man, this defense is put in very, very difficult situations, and they were put in very difficult situations again on Saturday. I mean, you had Missouri blanked on the scoreboard until you muff a punt, and Missouri gets it on a short field, and still they only come away with a field goal. Like, for the mass majority of that game, the defense played extremely well. It's just it gets to a point in close games now where I worry. I say, okay, the defense has played really well up to this point, but when's the dam going to break just because they've been out on the field for so long? And that's kind of what it felt like happened there on the final drive, or final defensive drive anyway.
A 405 listener says, think about this. We're a Kip 6 and a phantom miss punt away from being 3-7 and having 0 Power 5 wins.
Yeah. that's a hard way to look at it, but yeah, man, not fun. 817, State of Texas. Man, if I was a recruit and listening to this fan base, that would give me pause. Agreed, we need a new OC, but you're not going to get a top-notch one mid-season. The coaches aren't making the turnovers. BV is not responsible for the injuries. It's just crazy how all these happen at the same time. Even without the bad young quarterback play and all this other stuff, we knew this was going to be an extremely difficult schedule going into the season. Next year could be really good with all the young talent getting unexpected experience this year. Got to hit on OC and keep the recruits, though.
Man,
any issue with that?
Well, here's the deal, though. At this point, it's not just about hitting on the OC hire. Brent Venables has to survive this season.
Yeah,
and
true. I don't think that's a guarantee just yet.
No, it's not. It's not, and I did not think we would be here. I did not think I'd be saying this. But, Tyler, if OU loses by 30 to both Alabama and LSU, what do you do with that? Like, I think there's a very legitimate chance, maybe even a likelihood, that OU just cuts the cord, because here's what you can't have. You cannot have an entire offseason where everybody knows that the coach is pre-fired and there's no real reason to get excited about the season ahead, and there's that dead man walking type of vibe with the recruits where every single kid that comes through the Switzer Center, you're having to convince them that it's not a 5-alarm fire and that there's reason to believe that this is still going to work and that they're not committing to a program that's going to undergo a wholesale staff change in the months ahead. And that might, honestly, Tyler, somebody asked this question earlier, is it better to just fire Brent if OU goes 5-7, or to give him one more season and give him the chance to turn things around, but also risk things getting even worse. And I don't know my answer to that right now. I truly don't. I don't know what Joe Castiglione's answer is going to be. I don't know what the donor's answer is going to be. But the one thing that you absolutely cannot have is you cannot have another season that mimics this one, another season that mirrors this one. If you're going to give Brent Venables another year, you are pushing all the chips to the middle and betting that this thing is going to get better.
And it doesn't, like, next year if he's back, it doesn't have to be just better. It's going to have to be significantly better, right? Like, if they were to go 5-7, I don't think that they could go 7-5 necessarily, and that guarantees Brent another year. Like, I don't know what that number is. Maybe it's 8, maybe it's 9. I'm not real sure. But not only would he have to be better, he would have to be significantly better. And it already kind of feels like you're behind right now, but another year of this, that really, really puts you behind things. Keeping this recruiting class together, look, I know ultimately you just need to get one more win. It's going to be extremely difficult to do. You won't be favored in any of those 2 games. You need to get to 6 wins if possible. I don't think that they will. But Parker, I think a part of his job security could be with this recruiting class as well. And if you start to see guys decommitting or a mass exodus with the recruiting class, I think that could affect an upcoming decision at the end of the year, too.
Yeah. Cherokee Sooner on the text line says the 2 people I feel the worst for are Billy Bowman and Danny Stutzman.
Yeah, I had that down today, and I included Ethan Downs on that list as well. But
Man.
I've never seen Danny have emotion like that after a game. Have you? I mean, dude was crying.
Yeah. I mean, this is what you came back for. Danny could have gone to the league. Billy could have gone. And Danny had an unbelievable football game on Saturday, Tyler. Career high 19 tackles.
Yeah.
And in the end, you get your heart ripped out and lose at the horn. And yet, no doubt, of all the people that deserve empathy right now, Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman are at the top of the list because they're both incredible football players. They're both going to play the game professionally for quite a while. And they came back with the expectation that they were going to be able to help elevate Oklahoma to the championship hunt. And this season has been anything but. The first torpedo hit in August when Jaden Gibson had that knee injury on the practice field that resulted in season-ending surgery. And it's just been one hit after another ever since. And there's nothing those 2 guys can do.
Blue Sooner says, any chance BV resigns if we get blown out the last 2 games? I don't see it in his nature to quit, but does he love OU to step aside? No, I mean, it would be a terrible business decision to resign at the end of the year. If BV's not going to be here, he wants to get fired and get that $44 million buyout is what he wants. I'm going to guess if he resigns, he's not getting that. But no, I would put it right around 0% that he would resign at the end of the year.
A 713 listener says, I love BV, but this Saturday came to realize he hasn't delivered as a head coach. His teams and their culture are outcoached almost every Saturday. And on the topic of culture, Tyler, at a certain point, you got to stop talking about it and you got to be about it.
Yep.
That's the brutal reality. The culture that matters is a winning culture because nothing at the University of Oklahoma matters more than fielding a successful football program because it is a boon for the entire university, financially and otherwise. At OU, you have got to have a competitive football program that's winning football games, and right now, Oklahoma does not have that. And I love what Brent Venables has instilled. I think many people, the majority of people, love what Brent Venables has built as far as a cultural foundation for this program. But you have Soul Mission, you have the off-field support staffers for all these kids as they navigate college. That's all fine and well. That's great, and you're setting them up for success post-football, certainly. You're setting them up for success for 40 years and not just 4 years. But to the rest of the outside world, Tyler, none of that matters if you're not winning. And honestly, to a lot of those guys as well, I'm sure they'd rather be winning football games right now and not have quite as much off-field support.
Let me get 2 more texts in, and then I got a question for you about what happened after the game on Saturday. 713 says, I love BV, but this Saturday came to realize he hasn't delivered as a head coach. His team's culture are outcoached almost every single Saturday. And then Georgia Sooner says bye week. Never been so happy for a second bye week. Now we must have a relentless focus on keeping our 2025 recruits. Get through the rest of the season with no other serious injuries. Decide, do we have our quarterback of the future or not? We must circle the wagons. All right, so there's a couple of those. What did you think about what Drake said after the game on Saturday, his opening statement, mentioning Bob Stoops? Not shocking.
I know. I mean, it's what you expect from Drake. But, you know, that's what you get for losing to Missouri. So, you don't like that? Go do something about it.
Yeah, don't lose to those idiots next year, man. God.
Yeah, Sooner Practitioner says BV so far has been a better life coach than a head coach. And I don't know, man. Like, and to me, that's kind of the great dilemma. Because, yes, BV undeniably has put systems in place that are great for these players, both on the field and off. But again, I'm sure to an extent a lot of those players would trade a lot of what Oklahoma has in terms of off-field support for some wins on the football field. And I'm not saying it has to be one or the other. I'm not. But it does not matter. It does not matter if you are not winning football games. At OU, that's the only thing that matters.
Yep. All right, 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Cavens Group is where I'm at today. They are your 24/7, 365 emergency disaster response group. And, of course, when it comes to mold, Cavens Group, they are the experts in Oklahoma. No other company comes close to their experience and expertise with mold. 405-573-3048. Put it in your phone. It's Cavens Group at 405-573-3048. Final segment of Locked In coming up next.
The word is spreading, and the Ref Army is growing. Keep telling your friends and family that there's only one station for true Sooner fans, and that's the Ref Radio Sports Network, and worldwide on the KREF app.
Considering refinancing your mortgage? Now might be the perfect time to start planning. With rates on the move, Stride Bank can help you determine if you may be able to lower your monthly payments, shorten your loan term, or tap into your home's equity. Stride's expert mortgage advisors will work with you to tailor a solution that fits your needs. With local roots and national reach, Stride Bank is your go-to partner for all your banking needs. Stride Bank, your trusted financial partner since 1913. Find out more at stridebank.com. Stride Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Hey Sooners, I'm OU alum and Boyd Street Ventures founder James Spann. The Sooners season is underway, which means it's time for the Boyd Street Ventures Under the Radar Player of the Game. It's time for you to consider investing in BSV. Our portfolio has 16 innovative, under-the-radar, Oklahoma-connected companies. If you want in, the sooner the better, as our fund closes December 31st. Check out our portfolio at BoydStreetVentures.com. Boyd Street Ventures, under the radar, above the crowd.
The holidays are approaching, and Balfour of Norman can help you make it a Crimson and Cream Christmas for everyone. Locally owned for more than 45 years, Balfour on Campus Corner has always been a favorite of Sooner fans. For holiday decorating, you will find Christmas ornaments, stockings, Christmas cards, and other decorations, including a 7-foot-tall inflatable Santa. Additionally, Balfour has something for every Sooner fan on your shopping list. Their friendly staff will help you find just the right thing for everyone. With sizes from newborn through adults, there is a great selection of shirts, polos, hoodies, shorts, pants, hats, and even socks. All from great brands like Jordan, Nike, Champion, Antigua, Hype and Vice, and many more. There is also a great selection of gift items like automotive accessories, golf gear, serving pieces, and decorative displays. You can even custom order OU cowboy boots or their newest item, an OU electric bike. So stop by the store on Campus Corner for all the latest and greatest in OU gear, or shop online at crimsonproud.com, where you will find everything Sooner.
Have you wanted to become a member of a golf club but have yet to commit? Whether it's time to treat yourself to a holiday present or decide golf is going to be how you stay healthy and active, this is the time to join Westwood Golf Course. Pay for your first month and get your second month free when you set up a monthly bank draft for an adult annual membership. This is an average savings of over $200, and your membership includes a cart. Come to the Pro Shop before December 31st to get signed up. Start your weekend off right at Coach's Corner for their legendary brunch every Saturday and Sunday from 9 to 1. You'll love the wings and waffles, catfish and grits, and the fan favorite, the Boomer Burrito. Then stick around for the ultimate game day experience with tons of TVs and the coldest beer in town. There's no better place to catch the big game. And don't miss their Halloween trunk or treat on Halloween night from 4 to 6 p.m. Costumes, candy, and fun for all ages. Coach's Corner, located at Lindsay and Barry and Norman, where every day is game day.
Impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because feeling full can sound like this.
How did the interview go? I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
And like this.
Mom, I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/act now. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey Sooner fans, this is Olivia Troutman, 4-time NCAA champion with the Oklahoma gymnastics team. Season tickets are now available featuring an exciting SEC schedule. Go to Soonersports.com to get your tickets. And don't forget to become a member of Team 10 to support OU women's gymnastics and receive unique experiences and special access to the team. Team 10 supports our team above and beyond anything I could have ever dreamed. Go to Soonersports.com to get your season tickets and become a member of Team 10 today. Boomer!
Dorsey Jones, Buick GMC in El Reno. Bring this hour of Locked In with McComas and Thune. Go check them out in El Reno. Great selection, great prices, great service. They do it all there at Dorsey Jones, Buick GMC in El Reno. And a big thank you to all the veterans out there from everyone here at the Ref. Happy Veterans Day. Thanks to all of you who have served our great country. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all the veterans out there. Now, with Jackson Arnold's performance on Saturday, clearly there's a lot on the text line right now. Some saying, hey, you got to start Hawkins the rest of the year. Hey, you got to give Casey Thompson a chance. I think we're pretty split right now on what needs to happen at quarterback here moving forward. It's a bit of a problem because, first and foremost going into last week, you wanted to win and get to 6 wins, but you were hopeful that, well, maybe with Kevin Johns, maybe now with a new offensive coordinator as well, Jackson Arnold's going to start playing his best ball. And maybe, just maybe, you get into the offseason saying, well, he wasn't good earlier in the year, but Jackson Arnold found a way to play some pretty good football, and it looks like he's probably going to be your quarterback heading into 2025. Now, Parker, and we'll see what happens these final 2 games, I don't think it's very clear at all who you prioritize this offseason, who you want as your starter in 2025. I think that there's a lot of options on the table right now who could be the starter in 2025 for the first game of the season next year.
And here's an important reminder, folks. You're not getting both Jackson Arnold and Michael Hawkins back. It's one or the other. It's what it is. And so look, there's a lot that hangs in the balance. If BV is still around to hire his new OC, then you would assume that the OC is going to have some designs on a quarterback from the portal that he knows has a connection with, even if that's a guy like Dan Mullen, right? Because Dan Mullen's been out of the collegiate game for 3 years now. But there are still guys out there at the collegiate level that he recruited, that he has relationships with, even if they never played for him. And so a guy like Dan Mullen is going to be pretty immediately able to go to the portal and find a quarterback and lock down a quarterback based on that previous relationship, that previous connection. And so you should operate under the expectation that Oklahoma brings in a portal quarterback this offseason. I think that is a fair assumption to make. The question is, who is that? And are we talking a starting caliber QB? Are we talking like a top-tier QB? Does Oklahoma say, you know what, screw it, we're going to get the best available option in the portal? Or does Oklahoma say, okay, we're making our bed with Arnold or we're making our bed with Hawkins, and we're going to just bring in somebody for the sake of depth?
Big Rich in OKC says, keep Hawk and let JFA portal to Texas State. 405 says Joe Craddock and Mensa. 918 says, I would take Hawkins next year. Slim Brady says, why is no one talking about Luke Elzinga or Taylor Tatum at quarterback? 2 pretty good throws by Elzinga and Tatum on Saturday.
Tatum got that baseball arm, man.
Yeah. Yeah, you could tell, too, before he pulled up, it was like, oh, my gosh, he's going to throw the football. That happened right in front of us and worked out for a touchdown. Zach from Guthrie says prioritize Sperry and O'Neal. 3-star Yukon Bob says, I say play the Z at quarterback. Yeah, so we got a lot of options that we want to see at QB moving forward. Not necessarily ideal. Not ideal.
I would say the consensus on the text line so far seems to be hire Joe Craddock, let him bring Darian Mensah.
I don't hate that idea as of right now. I don't think that single-handedly just fixes everything, just those two guys. But, well, regardless if I like it or not, do I think that that's a possibility? You know, Tulane had – I guess Michael Pratt never transferred, did he?
No, he
stayed
didn't.
there
He
the
stayed.
entire time.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that Mensah wouldn't do the same. But if Joe Craddock were to leave Tulane and go to Oklahoma – do I think that's a possibility? I don't know if it's a likelihood, but I could see that, sure, as a possibility, potentially.
Josh from Moore says, how embarrassed are you guys that we have to take this team and play in primetime against Bama?
I mean, I like primetime games. I guess we'll see how embarrassed I am by the third quarter.
That's going to be a 6:30 kick, Tyler. The entire nation is going to be able to watch Alabama beat the Sooners by 40.
Who's playing quarterback at OU that day?
Well, CD from Hockley just said, at this point, give me Brendan Zerbrug. I think it should be Casey Thompson against Alabama.
Yeah, I think more and more people are kind of coming around to that thought that his first appearance, they couldn't get him in against – how about that? If you and I were doing like a post-game show together or we're just talking with one another after the Maine game, well, that stinks, Parker. They didn't get him in against Maine, but I bet he starts the final home game against Alabama.
Oh, truly, truly wild times. Cody from Tulsa said Andy Bassett quarterback with Xavier Robinson run the triple option. Jason O.C. says, one thing is for certain, I see no world where OU isn't going after a quarterback in the portal. Yeah, they will go get a portal quarterback.
Sure.
They will.
Yeah.
A 405 listener says, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that you're not hiring John Summerall, Craddock, and bringing Mensah along with him. Whoa, the Tulane trifecta.
Man.
Tyler.
Tulane U. Just bringing the whole team over for OU's 2025 next year. Dang. Well, I mean, again, if you get blown out by Bama and LSU, then I think some conversations maybe already taken place. I think they're going to get even more and more real if that's what happens in the final two games. How about Julian Lewis? Looks like he's going to flip from USC to Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, if there's nothing else to be excited about right now, you can take solace in the fact that Muleshoe's entire class is falling apart.
Yeah, that's nice.
Shamar Arnaud's going to flip. Juju's going to flip. Carday Smith is going to flip. Donnie Morris is going to flip. He's going to lose so many commits in this next month.
The Normanite says somebody better prioritize the young offensive line, and you can't judge a quarterback, any quarterback, behind that crap that we're rolling out there right now on the offensive line. Yeah, I mean, but again, was it the offensive line's fault that Jackson Arnold has the first fumble in the middle of the field? I feel like that was Jackson Arnold's fault. Was it the O-line's fault that Jackson Arnold fumbles that ball away to lose the game? I know that he had to kind of get outside the pocket on that play. Yes, it's not the best judge of a quarterback behind OU's offensive line, especially on Saturday, but, I mean, we're just seeing some inexcusable turnovers at this point, man, that it's hard to forgive those.
Hey, 972 listener says, if we lose Mike Hawkins, do we lose his brother too? Yes, you do. The Waffler says, great idea. Let's take one of the only teams we beat this year and steal their coaches and QB. Brilliant.
When you put it that way, Waffler.
Tulane's 8-2 right now.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
The only losses to Kansas State and Oklahoma. Curtis B says, Tyler and Parker, $44 million is a lot, and you cut the cord and lose all the recruits. Then you're like, it was in BV first year. It took until the second year. It's better. Hire a good OC, and you keep the recruits and defense, and get all the weapons back next year, and QB play will be better. Yes and no. Because, yes, Jackson Arnold, a guy like Jackson Arnold, is going to need a better offensive line, and he's going to need better receivers if he's going to elevate his game. But here's the big thing for me, Tyler. You look back at pretty much every single one of Jackson Arnold's turnovers this year, they're not on the offensive line. They're not on the receivers. They're on him.
Yeah. Jeff from OKC, I'm just checking to see if the next 2 weeks going to be all doom and gloom, because I can take all that. Can we at least have a little belief in this team? Jeff, if you want some positives, buddy, I'll give you a few positives. Xavier Robinson, clearly a positive. I think you got to play him a lot now moving forward. How about Schmidt Show? What a turnaround from last year, man. I mean, can you remember a kicker that's had, in a good way, a year like he had last year to a year like he's having right now where he's, hitting kicks from like 56 yards out? I mean,
he
dang.
was so bad last year he didn't even break camp as a starter, Tyler.
Yeah.
He lost his job to a career 76% guy from East Tennessee State. And now here he is.
Good.
And he hit from 56. It could have been good from 66.
Yeah,
he bombed that thing.
Yeah, he did. And he lined up. I'm like, I think he might make this. I can't believe I'm saying this. 1 year ago, me could not believe this. But I think he's going to make this. And like you said, he made it, and he made it with ease. Luke Elzinga continues to be great. So your freshman running back and your kicker and punter. That's what I got for you, Jeff. That's what I got for you. Chase in OC says, it's sad that our best win is against Tulane. I guess that would be OU's best win. Tulane is a better win than Auburn at this point.
Curtis B says on the last fumble, 2 guys were hanging on to him, so yes, it was the line. No, not accurate, Curtis. On the last fumble, he got it poked out by one rusher. And the ball security just has to be better right there. You cannot, of all the things you cannot do right there.
That's one thing you can't do.
That is the thing you can't do the most, is lose the football. Because if you punt there, that's fine. You're going to overtime. Heck, if you throw an interception there, it sure ain't ideal, but at least you give the defense an opportunity to make a stop. You give the opposing kicker an opportunity to miss a field goal for the win. What Jackson Arnold did was he enabled Zion Young to pick the football up and waltz into the end zone for a game-winning touchdown. The one thing that he could not do right there was the one thing he did.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. The last thing you can do. Because, and I think this is how I felt at the time, it's hard to go back to that moment before that disastrous play happened. But I think I do remember thinking to myself, okay, that was less than ideal, that OU just gave up that touchdown, now the game's tied. But I feel okay about their chances in overtime. And I know this doesn't matter now, but they were running the ball well at the time with Xavier Robinson. You felt like, okay, like I kind of like OU's chances here. You at least had to give yourself a chance to head into overtime and not give them a score like that. And that's why, like, losing to those guys in any fashion was going to be hard to take. But the manner in which you lost, that was an absolute gut punch. That sucked.
I had a chuckle at this mental image. A-Train says the F in JFA stands for fumbles. In fact, he should wear a jersey with fumbles on the back. Here comes fumbles back in the game.
I've heard that quite a bit, yes. Oh, man. 405, did Arnold have these issues in high school? Not that I remember. I don't think he had very many issues in high school.
This was the Gatorade Player of the Year. The National Gatorade Player of the Year. A 580 listener says the last fumble, it wasn't touched, he just dropped it. Is that actually true, Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, that's why you were saying that someone poked it out. I'm thinking
did that not happen?
I thought that he was, because there was someone over there it was like a little check down. I can't remember if it was a running back or who it was.
Yeah, it was a back.
Maybe he was trying to just throw it away at that point, but it looked like to me that it just slipped out of his hands.
A 918 listener says, guys, I tune in every day to listen to you do this show, but I have to ask, you guys dubbed J.A. the next coming. How and why has he fallen so far? Still love your show. Well, you just can't make heads or tails of it. Like a guy who was the National Gatorade Player of the Year at the high school level in the state of Texas playing 6A football should not look this bad. Things should not be this rough with a guy that had that much success at the prep level. It's inexplicable. It's unexplainable, Tyler. I don't know how to quantify it. I don't know how to put a finger on what has gone wrong for Jackson Arnold, but it's all wrong right now.
Yeah, I think the confidence is clearly lacking at this point because, coming out of high school or even forget high school, man, because it doesn't always translate. But you think a guy that's Gatorade Player of the Year, a 5-star, it will translate. But even the version that we saw in the Alamo Bowl, like that's Jackson Arnold. You don't want him to turn the ball over as much as he did, but that was a gunslinger throwing the ball down the field and on the run, great touchdown pass to Nick Anderson. Like, that's what I think Jackson Arnold really is. And we haven't even seen, like, that version of himself this year. I don't know if that's mental. I don't know if it's because of the offensive line, wide receiver play, whatever. But the one instance where we really saw, I think, what Jackson Arnold, what we thought he was going to be, we haven't seen that guy at all this year. He hadn't played like that.
Cam on the text line with a really interesting point. Signetti at Indiana. Look at what he's doing. 10 of the 11 starters on offense for the Hoosiers were not on that team last year. Someone at OU is terrible at evaluating talent.
Yeah, I don't think the portal evaluation has been all that great. Still waiting for this team to get better in November. Hasn't happened in the first 3 years. Hasn't happened in a while, which is extremely, extremely frustrating. But we will talk about this for 3 more hours. More of your texts, more reactions. OU football coming up next right here on The Ref.